And we are back. The impact of CJ Maraga's advisory to the President of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, to be able to dissolve parliament because of failure of achieving the 1/3 gender rule. It looks like it's neither here or there. It's purely an administrative task, but an administrative task that has got us all up in arms. At least that's what Colonel Benjamin Mwema, who is a political analyst, has told us in the previous segment of the show. We are back continuing to understand how does this fit into BBI, but more importantly, how does it actually impact on the economy? Welcome back, Colonel Mwema.
Thank you very much. Just before we go into that.
Yes.
Now, a general election is when you can elect a president.
Yes.
A by-election, you cannot elect a president.
Okay.
Whether you are electing everybody else in the country.
Yes.
And this one will only affect people in parliament. And parliament means the 47 women MPs, the 290 MPs, and the 47 senators.
Okay.
So therefore, if it were to happen that you say this is a general election and you don't elect the president, then it means the president will be there until another
general election.
Okay. Because the president can only be elected during a
general election. Okay. Yeah. So what does this mean? Because this has happened before we got into the COVID-19 season. We're all geared up for BBI and how it is good and we need to make some changes to the constitution. Is there any interplay between this decision and, in effect, the blank check that has been handed to the presidency, so to speak, and BBI?
Actually, this is a good thing for the president.
Yes.
Now he has a hammer hanging over all the MPs in this country.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Yes, because he can dissolve them.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Politically.
Yes.
So even though those who are insulting other people,
yes,
that will go down.
Yes.
Because if the president flexes his muscles,
yes,
there's going to be a problem.
Yes.
So this for the president is a good thing.
Yes.
Now for BBI, I don't know. You can take it from one side or the other.
Yes.
If we had an election now, then you would have several things happen. Let's talk about the big 4 or 5 people in this country.
Yes.
For Raila, he will be consolidating for 2022 or whenever we are going to have a general election.
Okay.
Depending on what happens, because this is now a rigmarole.
Right.
It's a quagmire
right.
At the end of the day.
It is.
If you take the deputy president, if Jubilee decided, look, we are going to let KANU field candidates in Rift Valley,
yes,
all of Rift Valley.
Yes.
And most of the DP's allies are in Jubilee.
Okay.
What would happen?
Yes.
It will force the deputy president to form a party so that he can take care of his supporters.
All right.
And that is real politics.
Yes.
It is not rocket science.
Yes.
And that in itself would expose him earlier than the near date of the election.
Yes.
And it is politically inexpedient,
yes,
for him,
yes,
as he moves forward trying to be the next president of this country.
Okay.
For Uhuru Kenyatta, he will have a big chance to whip Central into line.
All right.
With a rungu and a hammer and an axe.
Wow. Okay.
Everybody will fall into line like yesterday.
Yes.
And because if they don't, when he's still president,
yes,
and he's holding the instruments of power, he can use the state machinery to frustrate anybody in this country.
Yes.
Nobody will be willing to cross his line.
Okay.
So he, all of a sudden, the chess game would change.
Yes.
Everybody will sing the same tune.
Yes. Wow.
Now, for other smaller players, Western would have to toe the line of the system.
Yes.
Otherwise, there will be a problem, because when someone is holding the instruments of power anywhere on earth, leave alone being talking about Africa,
yes,
anywhere on earth, it's a problem.
Yes.
That is power, and power and raw power is really something that you cannot stop.
Yes.
So this, in my view, politically speaking, is a good thing. BBI actually helps the BBI,
yes,
have more power and more punch and political kick as, yes, we move forward.
Okay.
And from a political point of view, again, I see BBI coming back online immediately after these restrictions are lifted.
Okay.
The next big thing will be BBI, and this time it will be bigger than the last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the key thing that BBI is trying to address, or what is BBI trying to accommodate as we go into the next election, briefly? Inclusivity. Okay. That is the major part, as I understand it, and to make sure that we don't fight over elections. If you look at every election we've had since 1992, yes, we've had violence. Why do we have violence? Because of winner-take-all mentality and institutionalization of that mentality that we have done. In this country, if you lose a general election,
and you fight for president, you become nothing for the next 5 years.
Yes.
Yet you have 8 million, 9 million supporters. Will you go there and sit down and be nothing when you have people who support you?
That's
no.
true. Okay.
It is not going to happen.
Right.
Even if we force it down people's throats, even if you have 2 million, even if you have 1 million, you are a political player in this country.
Exactly.
And you must be respected. Therefore, this BBI, in my view, is trying to bring together the big players of politics in this country and their supporters, who in our view is our fiefdoms within where we come from,
Okay.
to a point whereby when we finish the election, everybody feels that one of us is out there, and therefore there is no need to fight, because when the cake is put on the table, one of us will be on the table saying, hata sisi tukatiwe pande hii kidogo.
Okay.
I think really that is it. And by bringing peace, you are bringing the communities together, you are uniting the country.
Okay.
And that, I think, for me, is the big deal. People from different political persuasions will have different opinions, and that is right, because the Constitution gives us that.
Okay, but I like that you're bringing in the element of inclusivity, because
Yes.
it sounds like the current leadership is thinking about the next election and saying, we don't want to go back where we came from. Let's try and include as many voices and representatives from the different areas.
Yes.
But is there the risk of then going back to a one-party state? Or what's the key difference here?
Well, if you look at our political landscape now, everybody is trying to make sure that their parties, political parties, are stronger.
Yes.
And those who do not have them are trying to make sure that they get a political party if you want to be a player. We are going to end up with a nearly parliamentary system of governance.
All right.
Whereby every party will have their own MPs, and according to how many MPs, you sit down and make sure that those seats that are going to be created by BBI and the Constitution in due course,
Okay,
are given out according to the party strength in
All right.
Parliament.
Okay.
So therefore, in our Political Parties Act, there is merging of political parties. There is even cooperation. There is even having MOUs, agreements, that you can work together in Parliament.
Okay.
So you do not have to have a one-party kind of a
Okay.
system
All
anymore.
right. So we are
the
not-
mechanism is there in law and
Yes.
the Constitution to be able to have parties that can work together without being the same thing.
Okay, that
Yeah.
gives a lot of comfort, because now
Yes.
we can get into the part of, okay, fine, so this is what is happening politically.
Yes.
We are getting into the 2022 election cycle.
yes.
What does all of this mean for the economy? What does it mean for investments in Kenya?
Well, this BBI thing is also supposed to calm down the nerves of economic investors.
Okay.
If you know that when the next election comes, there will be no violence, then when you invest when you are sure of what
Yes.
you're doing. Now, that is critical in any country on
Yes.
earth, because if there is uncertainty,
Yes.
investments will not be there.
That's true.
And as a country, we must have a good rate of FDI,
Yes.
foreign direct investment, so that the economy can be cushioned against the shocks of COVID-19 and others that
Yes.
we have gone through in the recent past. And therefore, this process of BBI is going to give the economic investors confidence. That is one. Two, this thing about the advisory from the Chief Justice, in my view, is just a hiccup in the political landscape. It won't change the security environment. It won't change the opportunities in investment. It will not change the political dispensation in this country. It will not have any effect whatsoever, because I'm sure it is going to be managed in such a way that it is going to be stable for everybody to do what they continue to do without any interference from any quarter.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. I like the fact that you're bringing in the context of, if there's certainty and you are a business participant in the Kenyan economy,
Yes.
then rather than planning over 3.5 business cycle, because typically what happens is, as we're getting a year before elections
And then
a
a
year
year
after
after,
elections, there's really,
nothing.
you can't make any investment plans because of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
So I think what you're telling us is that the key trigger point should not be us focusing on the advisory by the Chief Justice, because it's neither here or there,
Yes.
but we should be trying to see and
bigger
evaluate
picture.
BBI, the bigger picture, and BBI. And if we're able to achieve BBI, the key thing that you're telling us is then, as an investor, I can move away from having a 3-year business cycle in Kenya to an even longer business
20
cycle.
years.
A 20-year business
Yes,
cycle.
or even 10, because you know who the president is.
Yes.
You know his policies. You know what is looking at.
Okay.
You know whether there is going to be corruption or corruption.
Yes.
You know whether government is going to invest in certain sectors of the economy. You are clear. So
You're
as you invest for 10 years, you know.
You at least know
you
that the element
It is
of-
not 100%, it will never be.
Yes.
But if you are 70% sure, you can put your money there.
Okay, I like what you're saying. So the first thing is that BBI, there is some good inclusivity there, and then it also gives continuity in terms of confidence to investors. Now, the second element then is the proposals that are being brought forward for BBI. What does that mean? Then does that mean the current presidency then continues for another term? Does it mean that the instruments of power are sort of within the people, are controlled by the people who are currently controlling them? Because in other words, as an investor, I'd like to understand, will the policy makers and the thinking, the mindset of people at Central Bank and Treasury and the Kenya Revenue Authority, does it remain the same, or is there a possibility of a material change as we get into the next election cycle?
Article 142 of the Constitution. Okay. No person shall hold the office of the President of Kenya for more than 2 times.
Will the BBI try and change this?
I don't think so, because if they tried, even I myself will complain.
Okay.
Because that is not the right way to go.
Okay.
Let us give everybody their 2 terms, let them move on. Let us get new ideas so that this country can move forward.
Yes.
And in any case, why should you be there for more than 10 years?
Okay.
It serves no purpose.
All right.
And therefore, that being the case, BBI is not going to reinvent the wheel. We are just going to probably have a prime minister and deputies, and we will have a governance system whereby there is the government is run by the prime minister and the state is run by the president.
Yes.
And still the president is the boss, and he does all the appointments according to the Constitution.
Yes.
That arrangement will bring in on board new faces, new aspirations, new aspects, so that as we move forward, we can change the mindset of Kenyans, the mindset of our economic outlook, the mindset of our political outlook, so that we are more inclusive as we move forward.
Okay.
And in my view, it's a good thing.
All right. Yeah. So inclusivity, and sticking there, maybe my final question on inclusivity is, we have a population that is made up largely of the youth. How are then the decisions of the youth, the opportunities, the challenges that the majority of the population, which is less than 35 years, represented? Because at times when we are looking at the political landscape, we are appreciative of what our leaders do, but we are not necessarily seeing people who look like the younger people. So how do you bridge and include the population that's also the majority?
President Uhuru Kenyatta is the youngest we've ever had.
Yes.
So that is a step in the right direction. Look at CASs in this country. Most of them are under 35.
Yes.
Very young people.
All right.
Okay, so there is a movement in that direction, and I want to thank the president for doing so, because we cannot keep on talking about the youth and we do nothing about it.
Okay.
There are many programs which are targeting the youth. The president increased the youth service from a few thousand to many thousand. They are there. They are doing a lot of jobs, including rehabilitating the railway and other issues that are being worked on by the youth.
Yes.
If you go to the villages, there is this Kazi kwa Vijana, not Kazi kwa Vijana, there is a new one now that is targeting the youth and giving them and paying them about 400 or 500 shillings a day for doing something. But that is a stopgap.
Okay.
We should create economic policy that addresses the plight of the young people.
All right.
That is the basis. And when we do so, we must struggle as Kenyans of all walks of life to make sure that that policy is implemented and money is found to make sure that we empower our youth.
Yes.
Why is it so? Because if we don't, somewhere along the line they walk over us.
Okay.
Because if they are hungry and they cannot eat and we are eating, then we have no right to claim to be their fathers and their grandfathers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is something that needs to be done.
Yes.
All right. So at least we've talked about the youth. Now let's come back. I think we have about 5 or so minutes, and now talk about getting into the year 2022, looking at businesses. We've come through COVID-19. At least we are a resilient economy, and we are trying to just make good with what is there. But from where you sit, you are a political analyst, you engage with different decision makers in the business world and in the politics. How do you see the opportunity in Kenya today? Is it better? Are you concerned? Are you happier? Are we getting into a better space? And what sectors do you jump out in terms of spaces that people should pay attention to?
The first thing I want to say is that COVID is not Kenyan.
Yes.
COVID is global.
All right.
And as we stand today, as we sit here, we still don't understand it.
Okay.
We are still trying to understand it as a disease. So as we move forward, a lot of things are going to change, because today we have this protocol, tomorrow we have this protocol, the next day we have this protocol.
Yes.
But when all that is said and done, The communication sector has been the biggest beneficiary of the situation we are in, the COVID situation. And everybody in that sector is growing while the other sectors are going down.
Okay.
So, investing in that, for me, is the future
Yes.
of most economies. Now, looking at politics in 2022, if BBI becomes part of the constitution in the future, then the elections of 2022, or when they shall happen, because now we have put a spanner in the works, will be more peaceful, more coherent, and even at that point in time, as investors and business people will be able to plan,
Yes.
knowing that we don't have to go to every election and fight.
Okay.
We will be able, for the first time, maybe, and this is my prediction, be able to go to work and be able to vote, and you not realize that there is an election, like other countries do.
Yes.
Voting is just a civic duty. You just go do it and go and do other people. There are no policemen, it's just civilians.
Yes.
But just doing a civic duty.
Okay.
So I hope we can change our mindset, we can change the way we do things, and somewhere in the future we can hold elections whereby there is no acrimony, they are not that hotly contested, because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of life and death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I really like the way that you have put that. So BBI is something that we need to look out for.
Yes.
Kano Mwema, can I ask you who will be the next president? Are you able to?
I don't know, only God knows.
Okay.
And I can tell you this, and I will stand with this, only God knows.
Yes.
Things will happen. Let me tell you, an hour in politics is a very long time.
Yes.
We are talking about 23 months. Give me a break.
Yes.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
So then what are your parting shots? We've talked about CJ Maraga's decision. It's neither here or there.
Yes.
You've given us the importance of looking out for BBI, because in effect you're telling us politically,
Yeah.
the key trigger point we should be looking out for, which could be an advantage to investors,
Yes.
is the BBI and whether it's going to be included
Yeah.
as part of the constitution.
Yes.
So when we come to close this conversation, we're looking at the impact of politics on business and economy in Kenya today. What would your parting shot be?
BBI is the key. If
Yes.
BBI is implemented, then politics in Kenya will not be the driving force of everybody's life.
Okay.
It will take a back seat, because then violence will not become currency for politics.
Yes.
It will not be life and death anymore.
Yes.
It will be something you can lose. It will be a situation whereby when you are a senator, you can start for president, lose, and go back to being a senator.
Yes.
So why would you be fighting? And
Yes.
you still have a seat in the Senate.
Yes.
The problem has been, when you lose, you become nothing. You cannot do that. It never happens anywhere on earth. People will fight. Nobody
Okay.
wants to sleep hungry.
All right.
So therefore, if we get that done, and we implement it properly, then by 2022, everybody will be saying, look, I have this. Even if I miss this, I will have this. There are options. And that
Okay.
is what life is all about.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I must throw in this question, because now we tend to get investors asking then, do we keep investing here, or do we then put our money into other opportunities?
Definitely. Kenya has never been stable, more stable than it is today.
Yes.
After the handshake of 2018 on March 9th, the climate of politics in this country has come down. You see, there are two issues of politics. There is the politics of the top, and there is the politics of the people down there.
Yes.
The bad politics is the politics of destruction, the politics of the people down there. Our boss is up there, political boss is up there. They can make noise, but after that noise, they will go and drink together and have a cup of tea together.
Exactly.
When we are fighting down here ourselves, because we don't understand that.
Yes.
It is just a game.
Yes.
But the people down there do not understand that it's a game. So when we have peace down here, up here, don't bother about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. That's all we have. Do you have anything more to add as
No,
we come
thank
to the
you
end?
very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, it was a pleasure to have you. That was Colonel Benjamin Mwema. He is a political analyst, and what he's told us is, in effect, CJ Maraga's advisory was just but an administrative task. It's neither here or there. But what I like that has come out from this conversation is this: if you are looking at political risk in Kenya, the key trigger point for you is BBI. BBI is now seeking to bring inclusivity and ensuring that all the big pawns, rather the people who are controlling the political voices of different segments in Kenya, are actually on the table, and they are making decisions. And perhaps it looks like once this is done, then we could be able to have an extended business and investment cycle in Kenya, which goes longer than 3 years and could possibly even go to 10 years, rather than having to stop and wait for the next election cycle, which typically comes with violence. Another key thing that we've heard from Colonel Mwema is that we need to get to the point where violence is not necessarily the yardstick for for success. And that's a pertinent thing, because if you are investing in Kenya and we have a space where locally and globally we are all being pushed to take a long-term investment horizon, then if politics does not become a headache, it becomes easier for you to plan. So certainly what we are saying is that Kenya is in a stable place. Kenya is well-grounded. We have never been in such a good place. Let's look out for the BBI and see if it will be included in the constitution and look at the way forward. In summary, CJ Maraga's role, it was just nothing but an administrative task, and as I would say, perhaps another red herring. So don't get your shoes all tied up. Be calm, look at the investments and see what can you do for yourself for today, for tomorrow, and for the future. That's all from us here at Markets Today on Metropole TV. My name is Bitha Mwema. It was a pleasure hosting you. See you tomorrow, same time. Good afternoon.